And good morning, I'm Josh, and that's Chuck, and Jerry is over there, and that means this is stuff you should know. Oh, hang on, I think I'm in the wrong podcast. Am I working? I think I'm working. Good morning, everybody. Oh, I haven't opened the text to speech thing, but first, I acknowledge the traditional owners of this land, the Whadjuk Noongar peoples. I pay my respects to their elders, past and present, and to Aboriginal elders and peoples from other communities who may be taking part in this live stream today. So I've got to open oxrs.beta portal and log in. And hang on, my chair is also way too low. Doesn't go any higher. That's weird. 500 internal server error. Oh well, no text-to-speech for us today. At least not unless Mitchell gets in and fixes things. So that means that it is good morning to people in the chat, including Crispian, who is right here. Hello.
I can't make it work, so I'm not in the actual chat. I'm just here, but
Okay.
out there.
And,
Hi, guys.
And also good morning to Emmy. She can't hear me because she's down the back at the moment. But also to Amanda, Stephen W, Trady Trev, Gerald42, and scrolling down, Peter. Yes, Peter, we are there. Any Mules, and some call it fun. Michael Wise, who else? David Howes, Scott Miller, by Barbecue, yes. Scott says, last half hour of today's stream will be interrupted every couple of minutes by barbecue attendees telling John to wrap it up. No, they could just get on with the barbecue by themselves. They don't need me. Who else? The Lane. Did I say hello to the Lane? Russell Rainey, Stephen George, Ramazan, Johnny Begdal, Technobulus, and Mike Carden, Mitchell, error handle, blah, blah, blah. Need to sort out this OAuth issue. Yep, that's cool. No worries. Paul Schultz is here. Good morning, Paul. Paul to the west of me. He's in a place called South, but from me it's west. Luminator, Paul Gray, Cassio Eskelson. Cassio, have I seen you in the chat before? I can't remember. Yeah, possibly. I think we have. And just open it in incognito or private window will do the job. Okay, I will try that. Thanks, Mitchell. Moving over here. Just to check, I'm just going to try hitting reload first in the browser that I was in. Nope, still an internal server error. So here we go. Switching to incognito and loading. Does this mean I'm going to have to look up my password? Yes, it does. Oh, hang on. It's remembered. How has incognito got access to my passwords? Okay. I don't know. What is the black lead on the side of my neck? That is the jumper wires that get me started in the morning. Normally I remove them before you see the stream, because without that I can't get myself going. Either that or I've got to park myself on a hill and begin by rolling down. Okay, I am in the text-to-speech and it looks like it's working. Seems the JWT doesn't get cleared from browser storage. Right. Okay. Oh, Jordan is here as well. Good morning, Jordan. I have cranked myself up to way too much of an energy level for my reality today. Yeah, that's right. Scott Miller says, roll down the hill and pop the clutch in reverse. Definitely. Yep. That's actually how I used to start my RX-8. When I had some, towards the end of its life, the end of the time, not the end of its life, but the end of the time that I had it, I was having a lot of trouble starting it, and I used to roll start it every morning. And
Mitchell R said, this is a test of the emergency broadcast squirrel.
Yes, the squirrel is emergency broadcasting. Yeah, I used to park it out the front of my house, which was on a slight hill. Not a steep hill. If you look at it, you wouldn't think that it's particularly steep, but it's enough. And I would roll start it in reverse each morning by just letting it roll off backwards down the hill and pop the clutch in reverse and get it started. And if I ended up down outside Mick and Deb's house, then I had rolled without getting it started, then I had rolled too far, I was on the flat, and I was screwed. Yeah. That was, Mick and Deb's house was like the indication of the bottom, where the hill sort of bottomed out and became flat.
Scott Miller said, everybody say hi to DIY in the ghetto.
DIY, welcome. Okay, so I have obey gravity. It's the law, says Michael. Yes, it is the law. Or a theory, at least. Is it a law or a theory?
Laura said, hi at D in the ghetto.
Theory. I don't remember. It is too early on a Sunday, or too early on any day, for me to remember if gravity is a law or a theory. I have a law. Paul Schultz says that it's a law. we have an Astra. Oh, Astra. Astra. Oh.
Very excited puppy.
Yes. Hello. DIY coffee time. Hey Andy. Yes. See, the barbecue guests have begun already.
We'll get over here.
Where's Astra gone? Oh, she's run out into the factory. Okay. Falcor, yes, a luck dragon. Jack's Tech says,
Peter Lawler said, remembering things is overrated.
yes, come on, Jack's Tech.
Jack's Tech said, Falca smiley face.
Yes, yes.
Scott Miller said, hi Astra.
Yes, Astra gets Falcor the luck dragon a lot. She looks just like Falcor. A miniature Falcor. Newton and Einstein have theories. Theories indeed. I am just clearing a bunch of names off the text-to-speech. Trady Trev, did I say hello to you earlier? I can't remember. So Ramazan is here as well. Illuminator, Paul Gray. I think I have said hello to everyone. Okay, but DIY in the ghetto, coffee time. Yes, thank you very much for the super chat. Oh, Scott says her barking confused Rusty. Now Rusty is paying attention to the screen. Okay, now I have a problem, and Jeff is here as well. Hello, Jeff. My problem is addressable RGB LEDs. Oh, Mitch. Well, hello, Mitch. I don't think you had appeared in the chat. Let's see. No, the text-to-speech thing hasn't picked you up yet. Jeff Lethbridge has just appeared in the list. Yeah, it doesn't until you say something in the chat.
You think you have a problem?
Yes. Good morning, David. Yeah, until people say something in the chat, I can't actually tell that they are here. That's good, Mitch. You'll live. You'll live. And Mitchell says, we'll take 30 to 60 seconds for that new members list to refresh. Yeah, it takes a little while for people to appear in the list.
Peter Lawler said, if that's your problem, I've some for you to have tongue out.
Yep. So, I have been having this big problem for a while now. how long? Maybe a year, maybe a couple of years even, where RGB LEDs, specifically WS2812s and WS2813s, die right at the start, like from new. I'm not talking about something that happens.
Withdraws IAM shaking lol.
Okay. The problem is that when they are first powered up, from the time they are first powered up after being put on a board, they can end up in a strange mode where instead of displaying the color that you have requested them to display, they do like weird rainbow glowy things and don't respond properly.
Peter Lawler said, "Hey folks, please help feed the algorithm and dislike this video and unsubscribe from the channel."
Yes, be like Peter, dislike and unsubscribe. And Jackstack says, I found that they are extremely static sensitive. That's interesting. Okay, so I'm going to show you what happens, and then theories, ideas, suggestions are all very welcome. Let's go over to here. This is a starting point. Whoa, 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 I'm really zoomed in. That's not right. Let's unzoom there. That's a bit better. All right, so this board, I can't remember if this is a working one or a non-working one. I'm just going to turn on the lab power supply. You can see there's an RGB LED up here. Now I'm going to connect some voltage to this board. I have a feeling this might be a working one. Okay, so this one is working. The reproduction, this is the thing, is that it's a little bit hard showing you this because the reproduction on the camera is not what my eyes see in real life. But what this is doing is cycling through red, green, blue on a half-second cycle. When it is blue, it looks almost white on the camera, but that is red, green, blue, red, green, blue. And that is correct. This is what it should be doing. This is the Adafruit NeoPixel simple demo, just extended to loop through 3 colors instead of 1. So this is just like a quick test of the fact that each of the elements in the LED is working. Now I'm going to unplug that board. That board and this board came out of the exact same batch. In fact, what are their serial numbers? 2387 and 2385. They're almost consecutive boards out of the same batch, assembled at the same time from the same reel of LEDs. Everything about these boards is identical, but watch what happens with this one. It's meant to be going red, green, blue, and it is doing, sometimes it is doing a color, like there was a blue, there's a green, there's a red, but in between it is doing some weird thing. It is still changing colors. You can see that it's distinctly moving through colors, but it's sometimes something totally different. Now this other board, another one out of the same batch. I'm seeing stars because I'm looking at the LED. All right, so this one is meant to be red, green, blue as well, and you can see that it is doing, once again, strange stuff. It's kind of stabilizing over time as it's powered up. Just going to hit reset and see what happens then. So we're getting some distinct colors, but a lot of the time it is just being strange. When it first powered, it went purple for a moment. But if I put this onto a constant color, it may well just sort of twinkle weird colors unpredictably. But this is definitely not doing what it's supposed to do when you see it like that. So what ends up happening is if LEDs are too bright, put blue tack on them. Yeah, I've got dots. I'm having trouble reading stuff on the screen because wherever I look there is just like a white dot. Jordan says you can tell the colors of the LED by looking at the halo around the white center. Eddie Mule said I had weird behavior when I didn't have enough current. David says colors are coming through okay to me. Are my eyes broken? Maybe. Paul said too much power, drop output slightly. And yes, Scott says need Austin here, he's the RGB king. Now these are being run, I'll show you the actual code. These are not actually being driven to full illumination. This is the code that I'm running. It's in a loop, and you can see that it is not setting them to, it's actually setting them to a bit over half power, like half illumination. So I'm not driving these to 100%. This is whatever, this is 255 divided by 150 is whatever that number is. Hang on, I got a cough. Yes, whatever that number is, like 60-ish% is what my gut feel says. So I'm not driving them to full brightness. These boards are brand new, and this, right before the stream, was the first time I powered this board up and loaded this test code onto it. It's never had any other code running on it. These LEDs have never been driven beyond 150 out of 255. And what it does is it drives it to red, then to green, then to blue. And just loops around and does it all again. So they haven't been stressed. They're not being overdriven in terms of level of illumination. And yet this happens. Okay, now there are some complicating factors here to do with the voltage level of the data pin that is going to them. Yes, so there were some questions about power. Scott asked 5 volt or 3v3 power. Mitch said possibly 5 volt drop by a diode. And Emil said that almost looked like they were going to full on in between each of the colors. Yes, and that is the weird thing, is that there shouldn't be any gap in between the colors. So this code is, I mean, this is from, where are we? I'll compress this a little bit just so that we can, oops, that, I shouldn't have deleted that. I should have deleted that and that. So I opened the Adafruit demo sketch right before the stream and just went through, because I had a tray of these boards that had just been assembled, and I knew that if I tried a few, I would find a failure. And the third one that I tested failed, the fourth one that I tested failed, so first two worked. So I've had a 50% failure so far on testing these boards. So you can see that what it does is set them all to off. That doesn't actually do anything very much because it's immediately driven to red, and then a show, and then a delay, and then to green, and then a show and a delay, blue, show, delay, and then back to the start. So there shouldn't be any period in this cycle where it is sitting there with the LED at anything other than red, green, or blue. And yet we are seeing some period where it is displaying a color that is not those. Paul said, which ESP chip? ESP32, S3 have different hardware drivers. No, this is a regular old style ESP32 D or E revision, I think, of the hardware. Mitch said, scope on the power 2, diode dropping from 5 volts may give varying voltage. Crispian said, is it a bad batch? Is the supplier likely to help? And Paul said, which library? Okay, there are a few things here for me to follow up on. Peter asked, how did you power the board? Looked like you just attached negative. Oh, that's because I attached positive somewhere else. Ooh, right. Now, catching up on all of those questions. So, power. These particular boards are running. All right, so the WS2813, these are WS2813Bs, and they are the V5 revision of the LED. So, in terms of batches, Crispian asked, is it a bad batch? Is the supplier likely to help? I have seen this across 3 different batches of LEDs, and I've also seen it with totally different versions of the LED. I've seen it with WS2812 and with WS2813, which are totally different generations of the controller chip. I've had a few theories, like moisture being absorbed into the resin on the top of the LED, and then when the LED goes through reflow, that moisture would expand and turn into steam, and that would stress the LED, and it could potentially damage it. It could be causing deformations within the structure of the LED, breaking bond wires or doing something bad. But I saw this happening. So as I said, I've been seeing this problem for a while. And one of the things that I did when it was driving me nuts is I went from WS2812s to WS2813s.
That a DHD webpage is distracting as hell.
Okay, it is actually an Arduino page. All right, I'm going to get, because I wanted to have a look at that. Hang on, I'm going to scroll that up. There we go. Yeah, so I redesigned boards. I went from the 4-pin footprint of the WS2812 to the 6-pin footprint of the WS2813. I ordered a brand new reel of LEDs. They are genuine WS2813s from the manufacturer in a sealed, from World Semi, in a sealed bag, and put them on the pick and place machine, put some down, and I started having failures. So that means that it seems that I am doing something stupid.
Thank you.
And I'm trying to find out what it is that I'm doing that is stupid. Now, I'm going to have a quick look here at how this LED is connected and find a part of the schematic to show you. Now, this has happened on a number of client boards. So I'm going to show you little snippets of schematics and not the whole project, just the part that is relevant.
If it was water, the lens would be noticeably cracked under the microscope.
Yes, that's true. They don't look bad under the microscope. So I've done visual inspection of them and they have seemed okay. What am I looking for? That's right, I'm looking for an LED, which should be here somewhere, one of these sheets in this schematic. Status LED, come on, where are you? Status LED, status, heartbeat LED, okay. 3v3, all right. I have done this a number of different ways. So what I'm going to do is show you some different, actually what I'll do is I'll take a screenshot of that, because then I can have them open. This one, all right. This is the simplest possible thing. Now, as I've talked about on streams before, WS2813s are designed to run on 5 volts, not 3.3 volts, but they typically will run on 3.3 volts. So I'm going to show you the different things that I have tried in order to make this work. So that is one particular scenario. Then we have another scenario, which is, sorry, I'm going to have to jump around in Fusion here to pull up the different projects. And some call it fun, says using 0.1 microfarad cap on power. That's a good question. I have experimented with that as well. I've put caps right next to the LEDs and it hasn't seemed to make any difference. So the frustrating thing about this is that I've tried so many different things. Oh, okay. Here is another thing in a recent-ish revision. I'm going to take a screenshot of this one and bring it up. And there. Come on, Mac screenshot. Here we go. Okay. So this is another variation which has a current limiting resistor on the data pin. And that is because word on the street says that inrush current in the power-up cycle on these addressable LEDs can cause damage to the controller chip. And having a resistor in series with it, which could be 220 ohm, it could be 500 ohm, whatever, somewhere in that region, will it'll limit the inrush current onto the controller. So that is one possible solution. I've tried that. That has not solved the problem. Another option.
Mitch has got a good point suggesting to swap the leads between the boards.
Swapping leads between boards, yeah. Getting the LEDs, getting these off without damaging them is really hard. Because they're very heat sensitive, they tend to fall apart. Okay, so another variation is I may be thinking of the wrong board here, but let's see. Oh no, that's I've got another board here which has got the same thing. It's just got a 330R. Yeah, so far I haven't really shown you a great deal of variations. But yeah, there are variations with level shifters, with voltage drop supply rails.
Scott Miller said, have you looked at the 3v3 bus with a scope yet?
No, I haven't. That's true. That's a good point. Yeah, so the actual supply of this, there's a switch mode regulator, which is producing 5 volts. And then the 5 volts is going through a 3.3 volt linear regulator, an LDO. So, where are we? Okay, another variation. I'm trying to find, where are we? Gym 5. Trying to find a variation. I might have to go back into the archives. Okay. Oh, okay, here's an interesting variation on it. This one is, gotta wait for macOS to do its screenshot update thing. Oh yeah, while I'm waiting for that, this is another version that just happened to have a 330 ohm resistor instead of a 470 ohm. This one is a WS2813, which has its output going into a WS2811. So what you can see here is that the 13 has its supply coming in from a 5 volt rail instead of the 3.3 volt rail through a diode, which drops this to somewhere in the 4.2-ish volts region. So the LED is running at 4.2-ish volts, and the data line is coming off a 3.3 volt data line, but without a resistor. And the output is then going into the input of a WS2813, which is running at 5 volts. And this fails just as often as anything else. But the interesting thing is that it's only the display side of the LED that fails, because what we've got here, this WS2813 is driving a panel mount button with an RGB LED in it. And that's why I'm using a WS2811. So this is just the driver chip without the integrated, it's not integrated into the LED. So we've got the integrated LED, then driving the chip, which also then drives another one. So there's a chain of WS2811s. And the WS2811s work perfectly, even when the WS2813 fails. So this chip can have a heart attack and start displaying crazy random rainbow colors and ignoring the colors that I'm telling it, and yet the colors that are sent to the subsequent chips work perfectly. So what that tells me is that the data is passing through, it is coming through this LED and coming out the data out pin into the input of the next chip, but the WS2813 here, for whatever reason, is not displaying its own colors correctly. So the data pass-through works, which means its brain is alive and awake and doing useful things, but it just does that random weird rainbowy pattern regardless of what colors I tell it to display. Tony said, is it the design or assembly process? At a 50% failure rate, you only need to hand solder a few boards and machine solder some others to find out. Yeah, that's a good point. Scott said, I can reliably make NeoPixel strips go insane with dirty power. All right, so Tony said, is it the design or assembly process? I just want to talk about this for a second as well, because this is something that I have been trying to figure out. Oh, hang on. Okay, before I get into that, I'm just going to throw up on screen another example or two. What have I got back in here? Let's see what... I'm looking back into the archives of designs here to see how I've attempted to solve this problem in the past. So this is going back to 2023. What was I doing there? I know that was the same. Somewhere here I've got some that have got level shifters on them. Ooh, maybe it was this board, but an older version. How about this version? Nope, not that one. What about if I go back to the... Oh no, then I'm back into Eagle days. Maybe this. And that version? No, that was the same. No, I was just trying to find an example of one that has a level shifter, because I've done it with level shifters as well. And once again, same problem. Okay, so, all right. Now that I've kind of showed you a little bit about what I've tried to do. All right, I've tried with supplying off 5 volts and feeding with a 3.3 volt data line. With feeding off 5 volts through a diode and feeding with a 3.3 volt data line. I've tried running off 3.3 volts with a current limiting resistor on the data line. I've tried running off 3.3 volts with a direct connection on the data line. And there are probably other variations as well. All of these fail at maybe a 30% failure rate, give or take. Every single one of these approaches. Okay, so then getting back to there was some addressing some of the suggestions. Where was it? Tony was saying something. Okay, yes, so Tony Smith said, is it the design or assembly process? At a 50% failure rate, you only need to hand solder a few boards and machine solder some others to find out. All right, so what happens with these is when these boards fail, so when something goes wrong on one of those boards, what we do is hand rework them. So we take off the failed LED and put in and hand solder a replacement LED onto it. Sometimes I do that with the mini hot plate, sometimes I do it with a soldering iron, and then at a reasonably high rate, those replacements also fail. I haven't actually done any stats on this. We've done enough boards, like we've done hundreds and hundreds of boards where this has happened. I probably should have better records so that we could do some statistical analysis here. But when hand replacing the LEDs, they probably fail at a similar rate, like another 30% or something. So run a batch of boards through and 30% of them, the LEDs fail. Of those, I then hand replace the LEDs and 30% of those replacements also fail. So without actually looking at the statistics, my gut feel is that hand assembling them fails at the same rate as running them through the reflow oven. So I'm not sure about that. Paul asked, any correlation with failed boards and serial number? I don't think so. It seems to be just random within the batch. It also, and the other thing is, it can fail. Okay, here's another bit of information. They can fail on a subsequent power up after they have been working perfectly the first time. So earlier at the start of this, I said they fail on first power up. That was slightly misleading because yes, that does happen at this sort of rate.
Jack's Tech said, it's got to be dirty power from the switch mode then.
I wonder. Yeah, we can chuck this on the scope and see in a moment. Is it possible to slow down the LED data rate? Asked Graham. Oh, g'day Graham. Thank you for coming along. Paul asked, can you test the LEDs before mounting? All right, so is it possible to slow down the LED data rate? I don't know. That is a really good question. I think it probably is possible. Is there a setting in the NeoPixel library? 2813B data rate, or are they expecting a fixed rate? It says data transmitting at speeds up to 800 kilobits per second. But does that mean that you can run them at less than that? NeoPixel.
John, is it possible to put two LEDs on the one board, running exactly the same, like without, to physically fit them, so that if there's a difference in the actual LED, they're all getting exactly the same voltages and signals and currents. Then you would be able to tell if it is actually LEDs or something in the board.
Yeah, so you probably couldn't.
A couple of boards like that.
Yeah, you probably couldn't hear what Crispian was just saying then, but he asked if it would be possible to put multiple LEDs on the same board and see if the failure is something to do with the board or something to do with the LEDs. For example, if you have two LEDs on the board, do they both fail or both work versus one failing, I guess?
It'd be extremely obvious if one of them failed and the other one didn't.
Yeah, so he just said it'd be extremely obvious if one failed and one didn't. I suspect my microphone isn't picking him up.
Sorry, I can shout if you like.
That's just why I'm repeating the question. What is the frequency of NeoPixel data for a NeoPixel strip that uses blah 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 a microsecond? Yeah, okay. So I don't know if it is possible to change the timing on them and have them work. That's an interesting idea. Stephen said, solder a wire to the data power pin and add another LED. Yes, that's an option. AnyMill said, if numpixels equals 1 and you only have a single LED, using a for loop in the code is unnecessary. Yes, I know. What AnyMills is referring to is this for loop here, where it is counting to 1. So that loop is totally unnecessary. The only reason that exists is that right before the stream, I went into here and went examples, NeoPixel, Adafruit, NeoPixel, simple. This is what it's based on. This is where this code came from. And, because I've already got it open, I think it hasn't opened it again. Or has it opened it again? No, I don't think it has. And the example doesn't have NeoPixel set to 1, it's set to 16 or something. So all I did was change numpixels to 1. But yes, you're absolutely right. It is unnecessary, but it is also irrelevant to this particular thing. I mean, this is effectively the same thing, and if we made that 0, 0, 0, blah, that will do exactly the same thing as we've just been doing. It's just simplifying the code a fraction. All right. Oh, I've got a face looking over my shoulder. Kim S said, what Scott Miller said, when my LEDs start misbehaving, I always pull out the scope and verify voltage levels, and bit timing, pulse widths, duty cycle is correct. Scott said, I can reliably make NeoPixel strips go insane with dirty power. I read out that comment earlier, but I'm scanning back through now to see what I should be picking up on. Keith H asked, good morning Keith, should the pixels.show line be outside of the loop in order to only set the change at one point? Yeah, that once again, that doesn't really matter in this case because we don't, yeah, we've only, it's a loop of 1, so the loop kind of doesn't exist. David asked, does it happen if you isolate the problem from the demo board you showed us? That is, if you make a really simple board with just the LED and its required driver components. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. It could be. So this has been happening on 6 different board designs. So different things, totally different boards for different projects with different things on them. The commonality is the LED. So if I have a look at this, for example, these screenshots that I've taken are from different projects. Well, this one and this one are from different versions of the same project because I was just experimenting with a change. This one is from a different project entirely. This one is from a totally different project, different board, different shape, different layout, different parts on it. So yeah, there's that.
They're all designed by you though, John?
Yeah, so I am the common denominator. I am the one that is making this break. So this is all heading towards checking the scope on this, but I'm just reading through more of the chat before I actually make that happen. Hang on. If you have a voice assistant, press that mute button now because I'm going to be using it a little bit. Jax Tech said the second chip is more tolerant to data blipping. Perhaps. Stephen is suggesting the scope. Jax Tech, dirty correlation, dirty power from the switch mode. I read that one earlier. Jeff asked, what does the LED supplier say? Yes, you're implying that I've asked. I haven't asked. Now, Paul makes a very good point here, which is, can you test the LEDs before mounting? Okay, now this gets back to, sorry, I totally detoured. Very strange for me, I know, but I detoured off my train of thought. Earlier, I was saying that sometimes this happens on subsequent power-up. Now, I have a client that I have made many boards for over the years, and one of the things that regularly happens is we will have boards that we assemble here. Some of them, the LED fails. We rework them, And because I am very, very aware of this problem, I am really paying attention to this. I am absolutely sure that every single board that we send out has the LED working at the point when we send it, because some of them fail, we replace them, we test them again, so that we are looking at them and we know for sure that they are behaving on the bench before they get sent out. And yet, this particular client will regularly plug in boards. In fact, I have two clients that this happens to. They will regularly plug in boards and they will fail when they power them up. They'll come up with crazy rainbow things. In fact, the thing that really made me want to bring this up today, and it's like made me try to get to the bottom of this. About 2 weeks ago, I had a client that we built a batch of boards for, and they needed those boards urgently because they had to go into devices for a customer. I Ubered the boards from here to their office. I had been through the whole process of testing them and knew absolutely for sure that they were all showing the correct colors on the bench. Ubered the boards over. He pulled them out, powered them up, and
Scott Miller said, the LEDs just hate John.
yeah, and probably about half of them failed, like immediately on power up. The LEDs were doing crazy random rainbows. So I then drove over to their office, picked up the boards, brought them back here, reworked the LEDs, and then sent them back again, and Ubered them back again. And I think a couple of them then still failed at some percentage. But this was after, so I was paying super close attention. It is not as if I was just putting them together and not paying attention to the LEDs. I specifically drove to their office, picked up the boards, brought them back here to work on the LEDs, replace them, make 100% sure they were working. So we were totally confident, send them back, and powered up, and still some of them failed. So, yeah. Don, you made it, yes. Jordan said, where is it? Jordan was referring to something about pick and place oven, etc. Was that in relation to static? David said, but 6 different boards designed by you with you copying the driver circuit to some extent. But as I've shown, I've done different versions of the driver circuit trying to fix this problem. Jordan said, is it possible the LEDs you're being supplied have about a 30% infant mortality? Okay, Kim S. made a comment that I'll get back to that's very interesting. So, this ties into, I think it was Austin's suggestion of it was Paul Schultz who said, can you test the LEDs before mounting? I think I need to make up a jig to do that. I don't have a way of clipping the connections onto the LEDs and powering them up in advance. But that would be a really interesting thing to do. Like yeah, I could do it with some pogo pins or... Okay. I think this, unless I can get an answer using the scope and seeing that there is something bad going on, I think this is something that is worth doing. Doing a batch of boards where I do not put the LEDs down in the machine. I put them on the board by hand after they've been through the machine and test every single one of them. So beforehand to know that they are working. In fact, even before putting them on the board, that would be interesting. It wouldn't take that many. If I took like 10 LEDs out of the reel that's in the machine.
Scott Miller said, woohoo, more test jig design.
Yeah. If I popped about 10 LEDs out of the machine, put them on the bench and applied power and data to them, and they were failing, that would be a very interesting thing to know. Paul said, QA of LEDs, do you need a burn-in step? And that ties into, where was it? There was another comment. Here we go. Kim S said, I got some boards made with WS2812s. JLC made me pay for an extra pre-drying step or something like that. LEDs may have a higher failure rate if they are too humid at production time. Yes, that is something that I was wondering about as well. And I suppose part of the question is, how long do LEDs need to be exposed to the atmosphere before that becomes a problem? Humidity could definitely be an issue. That was one of my suspicions early on, which is why I was mentioning maybe the failure is happening because when they go through reflow, they get heated up and moisture inside expands, and it may not cause visible problems, but it could cause enough deformation within
Jack's Tech said, have you got some really pointy probes? Just pierce the tape?
Yeah, but the thing is, you got to pierce the tape with 3. I suppose it is only 3, isn't it? Because we just need power, ground, and data. Yeah. Anyway, to do that, I would have to take the feeder off the machine. I think it would be easier to just feed some LEDs out and have them loose.
Scott Miller said, they do arrive with moisture indicators.
Yeah, they do. But then everything does. Every single thing comes with moisture indicators. And, so David said, humidity, temperature, place one in the fridge and then test it. If it was in an Uber, it probably got cold. No, not necessarily. I like this suggestion from Mike.
Austin's_creation said, if we're talking WS2812 LEDs, I may know the issue as my trike has had issues. Sadly, I'm mobile and typing information would be too long.
Ooh, what a tease. What Austin is saying is he may have the answer to my problems, but he's not going to share. No.
Can't afford it.
So my this was one of the reasons
said, broken moisture indicator.
that I ordered a brand new reel of LEDs and they arrived in the sealed bag, etc. The thing is, the LEDs have been sitting on my machine. So that reel has been sitting on my machine for months now. I can't remember what date it went on, but it was some months ago.
Scott Miller said, silly Austin, grocery shopping at stream time.
Yeah, I know. But he is currently in a grocery store listening to a live stream. So, yes. Austin said, months? Yes, months. Well, how many LEDs are on a reel? 2,000 or something? 3,000?
There's not much humidity in the clean room, is there?
Jordan Reese said,
it's not
time to call Austin on stream.
Yeah, it's not properly sealed. So the humidity in there is whatever atmospheric humidity is. Paul said, there are no problems with humidity in Melbourne. Paul said, we've had more issues with SMD than with the through hole. Okay, but have you had issues with SMD, with through hole as well? Because, yeah, Scott says, time to seal. The text-to-speech is about to do this. Yes, I've got to put a dehumidifier in the clean room. Oh, damn. My phone is flat. My other phone, I'm going to chuck it on charge. My Android phone, which is the one that I use as a portable camera, I have not...
Scott Miller said, Time to seal the cleanish room and dehydrate it.
Yes. Yeah, that is my
Austin
plan.
Creation said, not just grocery shopping, been writing lots of essays for college.
Okay.
Lethbridge just says, talking about adding a 1R or 0.1R
In series with
so
VCC.
you can use a shunt obviously to measure current.
Yes, that is, yeah, so I could measure the current to the LED. That's true. Don, oh, okay, so Don S said, out of 5 Onju voice boards I recently got from PCBWay, 3 of the boards had bad LEDs on arrival. Ah, Scott says, wonder if you could design a board with flex pins for LED testing. I absolutely could. Charge your phone. Yes, I am charging my phone. I have just plugged my Android phone into USB, so it is going to start up. Because I currently have 2 phones. I've got the iPhone that is my daily carry these days, and I've got the Android phone that was my primary phone. But I haven't actually powered it up for a little while, so it's flat. Austin says...
Austin's_creation said, normally they have 5%, 10% and 20% for the lead bag, and pretty sure 10% is their bake level, but recommend 5% and below.
Yeah, okay. So what I should do... Oh, that is a total pain, because what that means is taking the reel off the feeder and putting it in the oven to bake, and then taking it out of the oven, putting it on right before loading on the board. Okay, so how long? Let's WS2813. Let's see what the datasheet says. I haven't ever actually looked this up on the datasheet. And yes, I know that I still haven't done the scope. I will. Humidity. Use up to 2 hours. Ah. Environmental conditions of a temperature below 30 C, relative humidity less than 60 C. So, storage in its period, room temperature sealed. Sorry, I'm highlighting this, which is probably making it harder for you to read. Storage and transportation. Room temperature sealed storage, 20 to 30 C, 40 to 60% relative humidity. Product is valid for 1 month. So that's if it is in that environment. That probably describes the clean room. It would be, although recently, of course, the temperature has been below 20. But that room temperature sealed storage between 40 and 60% relative humidity, 20 to like below 30 degrees, product is valid for 1 month.
Amanda Thompson said, John, you can use your iPhone as a virtual camera natively in the Apple OS.
Yes, but I don't know how to then link it into OBS. So there's probably a plugin in OBS to be able to accept the camera, but I don't have it set up. But you're right, Amanda. What I should do is look into the options for connecting my iPhone as that. So moisture. So we've got option 1, scenario 2, moisture-proof sealed storage, 20 to 30 C, 25 to 60% relative humidity. Product is valid for 3 months. All right. So if it's fully sealed storage, it only lasts for 3 months. Use with up to 2 hours after removing from packages. Environmental conditions of a temperature less than 30 C, relative humidity less than 60 C. Well.
Jack's Tech said, you pull it in as a webcam.
Oh, okay. Into OBS. Cool. Keep in mind though that I have OBS running on a very old version of Mac OS because it's on my 2012 Retina MacBook Pro, which is years out of Mac OS support. So if it requires a recent version of Mac OS for that feature to work,
Amanda
I can't
Thompson
do
said,
it.
It just comes as a virtual camera in OBS.
Ah, okay. In the new beta, can control your phone with a mouse. Oh. Yes, but I think the fact that I'm running an old Retina MacBook Pro will be the limiting factor there. I could pull it into my current Mac. So this is an M2 Mac Mini that I'm this browser.
Said, well, that's out the window then.
Yeah, this browser, my desktop machine, is an M2 Mac Mini, but OBS is running on a separate laptop, and that's what's doing the video streamery stuff. In conjunction with the 8M. So the 8M is what's actually sending the stream to the yeah. Anyway, I'm not going to mess around with that right now. So the reason I was wanting to start are we still online? I put my phone down and it, like seriously.
Peter Lawler said, if it's currently working, don't change it.
Yeah, I put the phone down with the charge cable plugged in, and it's right next to the Stream Deck, and it pressed the start button for the stream. Yes. Okay, we're still here. That's a relief. Yeah, I was just wanting to show you some of the storage that I've got set up in the clean room now. Hang on, I'm going to see if
Scott Miller said, Bork.
Has enough.
Jack's Tech said, we're still here.
Yep. Thanks, Jack's Tech. I'm going to see if I've got enough juice on the phone to take you in there just for a moment at least. Yeah. Yeah, so if you are just arriving at the live stream, you have missed the last hour. It might seem like we've begun, but no. All right. Now, this number here, I thought that I had more time than that. So my idea was when I bought the new reel and put it on the machine, I would probably be okay for some vague period of time before there were any potential moisture issues. And I thought, I don't know.
_creation said, just show the security camera in the clean room.
Yeah, but I want to show you an actual close-up.
2 hours left of the stream.
Yes, I want to show you an actual close-up of something. So the security camera doesn't help with that problem. All right, charging 7%. Let's see if my phone is still doing its thing. Droid cam. Oh, it's still booting. It'll take a while to boot. I just wanted to show you the part storage that I've got in there at the moment. Anyway, in my head I was thinking, oh yeah, I'll be good for a couple of weeks. Like if there are going to be any moisture problems with moisture being absorbed through the resin on the LED, that'll take a while to get through. It didn't ever cross my mind that it would be like 2 hours from the time that I opened the bag that I'd have to have used the LEDs. Okay. I think this might be part of the issue. Droid cam, where are you? No, I've got to remember how to use Android now. There we go, Droid cam. And let's see if
Imogen Ann said,
Graham, actually a couple of people have asked about Xeon's, have asked about Xeon's LED experiences, and that would be interesting to know. I'm just going to try switching to, is this going to work? Do we have, no, it looks like the Droid Cam plugin is not working. Am I on the right Wi-Fi? hang on, switching back to here for a moment. Just going to make sure that my Android phone has connected to the correct Wi-Fi. Oh, no, it's connected to guest Wi-Fi. That's why. Come on.
Might turn my hotspot off. Just tying up the bandwidth.
Come on. Connecting. 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 Come on. Obtaining IP.
Peter Lawler said, with 2 hours, I'd try getting one of those kitchen vacuum sealing bag setup things and try resealing in a low humidity environment.
Yeah, that would be good for storage. Oh, come on. This phone is so laggy. Come on, I'm clicking on the screen. All right, let's try again. Is this going to work? Do we... at least I can see it on the screen of my phone now. Yes, okay. Okay, backing up. Here we go. It's like 4 frames a second. So I'm going to try to walk slowly and smoothly so you don't feel sick. Okay, so what I've done is got these sealed plastic tubs, and they've got temperature and humidity sensors in them, so you can see 15.3 degrees, 14.9 degrees. They're going to vary a little bit because of the accuracy is not that great. But you can see that 42% humidity on that one, 46, 44, 46. And they've got, if I pull this out, you'll see that there is a desiccant bag in there. Well, there are probably several desiccant bags. And we've got a moisture indicator across the front here, which is odd because this is saying 46%, and this moisture indicator that has been in there for ages, like weeks and weeks, is still blue on 10%. So I don't know what's going on there, but these are sealed. You can see there's a gasket running around here. And yeah, these containers are essentially airtight. And I keep all the new reels and spare reels. Oh, this is awkward with one hand. In those containers. So, and I've got up the top here, I've laser cut these. This is core flute. So inside the container, there are these divider tabs with stickers on them, and this is what shows which, like, different sections of parts. And then this is the one that's in the front that I pop the temperature and humidity sensor into. All right, I actually can't see the screen of my phone. I think it might have gone flat. I don't know. I don't know if the camera is working at all.
Gone dead.
Yeah, it's gone blank. Okay, so it totally died. So back to here. You would have been able to hear me, just not see. Ooh. All right. Michael says, is this an alien autopsy video? Yeah. Jack Tech said, can core flute off gas or out gas? I think it's pretty safe to cut, from what I've heard. Yeah. Yeah, Stephen George said, dehumidifier in the sort of clean room. Try to keep it around 40% should help. Yeah, there is a dehumidifier.
Jack's Tech said, can core flute off gas?
It cuts really cleanly without odor, and I'm pretty sure it is one of the safer things that you can cut in a laser cutter. Oh, right, I see. I didn't understand your question, Jack's Tech. The text-to-speech will catch up in just a moment. Yeah, That's right.
Jack's Tech said, I meant in the box this affecting the reels.
That is an interesting idea. I don't think so. And those dividers have only been in there. So I only set up that storage within the last month or two, maybe 2 months ago. And the core flute dividers have only been in there for a couple of weeks, like since the last barbecue, certainly. So the problem I'm having with the LEDs way predates this. But yeah, I don't think the core flute should be an outgassing problem. And also inside those containers, the reels are inside bags, which are also sealed. In general, there are a few reels that are loose, like reels of resistors that might be just sitting inside the plastic box. But for the most part, the reels are inside bags that are sealed, and that sealed bag is then inside the plastic tub, the plastic container, which is then also sealed with the silica pack in it. Scott said, let's get together and get John a dedicated seasickness camera. Yeah, I've got this camera. I want to get this working. All right, this is a maybe someone will have a suggestion for this as well. What I need is a wireless HDMI sender and receiver pair that doesn't need like a lot of external power to run the transmitter. You can get HDMI senders. The reason is I have this wearable camera which has an HDMI output on it. So what I could do is put this on, and then I could use that as a camera and you could see what I'm seeing. But what I need to do is connect an HDMI cable out of the back of that into a transmitter, which means I would be wearing a transmitter and walking around with it. And I just realized looking at this that I never answered Amanda's question about why I have a wire coming out of my neck. It's a microphone. There, it's just the microphone wire. Yes. Stephen said something like they use for video on a drone should work okay. They should be low power. Yeah, a video transmitter for a drone. They work off. I'd need to use a drone camera though. But maybe that is a good solution. The thing is that what I ultimately need coming out of the receiver end is HDMI, so that
Scott
I can
Miller
then
said, looks geeky.
Yeah.
Cheeky smiley face.
I need HDMI so that I can then send it into the ATEM and it can get mixed into the rest of the video stream. But that can be done with an RGB to HDMI converter. Maybe I should look at drone cameras. But yeah, drone cameras are typically analog output. So the transmitters take the analog output from the camera and then transmit it. And then you have some kind of a receiver at the other end. I hadn't even thought about drone cameras as an avenue for investigation. Yeah, Jack's Tech said drone cams usually use composite video. That's correct. But if I get say a drone camera with a transmitter as a little self-contained thing, then I can deal with the HDMI issue at the receiver end. So I would need a receiver for the drone camera, which typically then goes into something like a head-mounted display or a screen so that you can see what's going on and record it. And I could then convert that to HDMI. So anyway, yes. Anyway, it is now an hour and a quarter into me ranting about having this particular problem, and I thought this would be like just something to mention at the start of the stream and then move on. Jack's Tech says, scope it. Jordan said, or USB out into OBS. Yeah, if I can get USB out so it's coming out like a webcam, I could then
Jack's
capture
text
that
said, scope it.
into OBS, and then from the OBS feed it into the ATEM, and then yeah. So when I use the poker phone, that is going through OBS. Maybe that's why it was getting like 4 frames a second. All right, scope it. Alexa, turn on bench 1.
Okay.
Now, what am I going to do here? How am I going to do this? And can I do this so that you can see? What I might end up having to do is take photos of the scope screen, which would kind of suck, but yeah. I would like to do, rather than talking so much, I want to do more, talk less, which means getting gear set up. What am I going to do? Okay, I can't just hold the power connections on there. I need to have them attached, so I've got to find myself a couple of power leads, a couple of bits of wire. That'll do for one. And let's make them both blue so that I can be confused and get positive and negative backwards. Will this fit? Yes. Got to hook in power because I want to leave it connected while I'm playing with the scope and seeing what is going on both the data line and the power line. All right, that one is negative. That one is positive, I hope. Oh, the board needs a fuse in it. So, fuse. I have many fuses. I have hundreds of fuses, probably thousands of fuses. Oh, wrong one. I'll get a 5-amp fuse. Oh, okay, so I started half saying something earlier, which is that back at my ex-house, oh, I just plugged the fuse in, which is why we're now getting action there. There is a fairly large dehumidifier that was bought when there were leaking problems in the bathroom, and we needed to dry it all out as part of the fixing up process, the repatriation process, or whatever the term is, where all the mold was killed off. So, red, green, blue, red, green, blue, red. It's only when it's trying to, like, red and yeah, it's when it tries to display one of the colors, it sometimes goes kind of random. All right, so I'm going to hook up my common ground to the scope. What was I saying? That's right, I was saying that I want to do more doing stuff on streams, which means things like I keep saying this, I've got to get the multimeter display back on the screen, and I want to get the scope. I want to get a live scope display on the screen. It would also be useful to get the power supply display on the screen, like on the live stream screen, because you can get info out of the power supply, like how much current stuff is drawing. That would be useful. All right, so I need to find which pin is the data pin and which is the power pin. So that is power and that is data. Okay. Now that is rotated a bit relative to my point of view. Yes, I am going to put blue tack on it because it is. I need to kind of stare at it in order to put the to put the probe on the correct pin. That's better. Okay, now oscilloscope probe on the center pin, and let's see what we can see. So this is the 3.3 volt pin. Hang on, before I do that, I'm going to... This is going to be a very roundabout way of doing it.
40 minutes until bacon.
40 minutes until bacon. Okay. This is a 2 microseconds, 1 microsecond. This power rail is looking quite remarkably clean. Like straight line clean. Hang on, I'm gonna VPP blah. Hang on, here we go. I'm gonna take a photo of the scope screen and I will show that to you in just a moment. But I'm also going to pull up the data pin because that will be more interesting, I think. Where is data? Oh, it's that one around there. So data, and I'll see if I can capture a data packet on this. Get it on there, put it in single mode. Run, and I'm just zooming out. The time base was set to be super. Hang on, run. Just seeing if I'm getting data packets. Ooh, I saw a data packet. I saw it. Mode on. Oh, okay. Here we go, I think. No. And zoom in. Sorry, this is not very exciting to listen to me doing this, but what I'm going to do is see if I can get a photo of part of a data packet. All right. Camera. Let's see if that worked. And then get it up onto the screen so that we can see it. Now, there. Is this one of them? Okay. Now, I could well have the settings on the oscilloscope totally screwed up, but I zoomed in on the time base. You can see this is on a 20 nanosecond time base. It's really short, and the 3.3 volt rail is sitting on 3.28 volts. You can see min 3.12, average 3.196. VPPP is 160 millivolts. That was, hang on, what was the voltage scale on this? Oh, it's on a 2 volt scale. Okay, I probably could have zoomed in a bit on the on that scale. So this 160 millivolts, that is essentially the limit of the resolution of the voltage scale at that time base, I think. So the fact that it says that it's varying by 160 millivolts, it may not even be varying by that much. But yeah, I zoomed in and out on the time base, and this is the power supply rail. It's like a flat line. It's as nice can be. So I don't think dirty power is the issue, and this was measuring it directly on the pin, on the power pin going into the LED. So the other one is this. This is the data pin. Max 3.44. What are we looking at here? What was the time scale? 1 microsecond from there to there. So yeah, that's like half a microsecond. That's like 1 microsecond approximately in duration. Can someone tell me how, someone do the conversion at that bit rate, 400 kilohertz or whatever it is, what should the duration be on the pulses? Is there a this just needs scope? Yeah. Yes, Mitchell pointed out, this is in relation to putting the instruments on the screen. All the code for the multimeter is already done for this, just needs scope and PSU. Yeah, the UT61E interface is all done. What I need to do is set it up. I need to do the OBS setup so that I can pull that in and have it in the stream. It works in terms of yeah, I've got to cast my memory back. Basically, the code is all there. The system is working. The interface is there. The multimeter is on my bench with the interface plugged in, and if I power it up, it will broadcast whatever values it reads to MQTT. Then I need the other side that pulls it off MQTT set up in OBS so that I can, and it's really the OBS and ATEM setup that I need to do so that up above my head up here somewhere, we can put, up there, we can put the multimeter display. So that, most of the work on that is already done. I just need to do it. Stephen says 2.5 nanoseconds is 400 kilohertz cycle time. Cool, thanks Stephen. So 2.5 nanoseconds is 400 kilohertz cycle time. All right. Oh, Tassie Bob, thanks for coming along. I haven't seen you in the chat so far, or I haven't noticed anyway. I find sometimes it takes a bit to get the UT61 interface to update in OBS, but once I coax it into life, it works really well. Yeah, I just need to do the setup. Wagon Load said, that is what I'm trying to do, make all of my lab equipment on the web. Yeah, very, very cool, very useful as well. Peter Kirkios said, how about this? The components are getting worse in quality, like everything else. Maybe. David asked, doesn't the oscilloscope have a data out interface you can stream? Yes, it does. And I have done that in the past. It's a Rigol, it's an old Rigol DS2072, which has Ethernet, and in fact it is plugged in on the network. And there is a Rigol client that that can take the data off it. It's a long time since I've run it, like years and years. And there is also there's a Python utility that will do screen grabs. And what I can do is have it run, a few times a second. It's not real-time live, but it's probably good enough where if I had this Python thing pulling screen grabs off the scope a few times a second.
Peter Lawler said, I still think you should try hitting it with a hammer.
Yeah, the percussive maintenance.
Said, looks like the first possible problem has been disproven. Scott Miller said, which we could have known in the first 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Cheeky smiley face.
Yes, you are right.
Peter Lawler said, 30 minutes to bacon.
OBS create web view, add site for the view, drag onto screen and done. But you need to pull the latest changes we made to that. Yes, I know, Mitchell, I could do it. I should do it. But the thing is that when I'm not on a stream, I don't think of it. And I need to be setting it up when I'm not on a stream. What I really should do is decide that I am going to spend time setting up my stream system
Peter
better.
Lawler said, TTS lag.
Yeah, there is a lot of TTS lag. Andrew said, surely pull all the numbers and push to MQTT and have a custom app to make a real-time updating screen. Are you talking about for the oscilloscope? Because that would be hard. For the multimeter, yes, that's exactly how it works. We need a setting up stream. Yeah, that's exactly how the multimeter works. But then you're just pulling a number. It's like whatever voltage it is, or whatever the reading is coming off the multimeter a few times a second, like 10 times a second or something. That's no problem. But with an oscilloscope, where you've got a waveform like this that needs to be represented, you can't really just pull numbers, like publish numbers to MQTT and then recreate the display. And what I really want is the recreated display. And the utility that connects to the scope and pulls it off, it comes out looking like a screenshot. Like, it looks like you are looking at the scope screen. And then, which is really handy. That's what I want. And if it's doing that a few times a second, it doesn't have to be like 30 frames a second. If we're getting a few frames a second coming off the scope, that is good enough for government work. Peter, you're hired.
Wagon Load said, I saw blue tack on your LED. You need to 3D print translucent diffused LED caps.
That's
Peter
an
Lawler
idea.
said, hire me as a producer. I'm cheap. Return flight once a week. Lunch. That's all I want.
Yeah, so just flights and pizza. Sadly, I'm a long way from the airport. Yeah, I need to get the gear sorted. Also, that reminds me, so this is a slight change of topic. One of my friends has taken it upon herself to be my reminder that I promised to do videos. And every now and then she sends me a message saying, how are the videos going? And so last night we were chatting about doing videos, and I realized that there is a video that I started doing. Yeah, Michael said, airport isn't far if you catch a train. Oh, wait, never mind. Yeah. There is a video that I actually started filming, I think it was 2.5 years ago. And it would specifically
Peter
lend
Lawler
itself.
said, okay, I also need parachuting lessons. Fair enough, I'm in.
Okay. I'll do the parachuting lessons with you, Peter. Yes, this video is lab design principles, and it's a whole series of things. And let me see. Oh, hang on. No, in Evernote, where is this going to open? I don't know which screen it's going to open on. Hopefully not the one that I'm streaming from. Let's switch to this view. Just in time. Okay. Yeah, so these are some notes on where is it? First order localized loop, so show clearance. That's an
Aaron Knox
approximity.
said, don't worry, you won't have continuity issues, John. You didn't have hair then either.
Yeah, that's true. That was actually a one of the factors behind shaving it all off. So I'm going to refilm. I'm not going to reuse any of the footage that I filmed 2.5 years ago. I'm going to refilm it. But the point is, I realized that this video lends itself to being done as a series of very brief snippets.
Peter Lawler said, hey folks, please feed the algo, like and subscribe.
Each snippet because it's a list, and the list is of lab design principles, and then each one of the principles is like a bite-sized snippet with a little explanation. And the so as a sneak, here are some notes. I will bring this up in a sec. Hang on, can I open this one? Okay, I was just trying to open it in Evernote without showing all of the other things. Now this is very rudimentary and you're going to go, blah, of course, that's really obvious. But anyway, this is just some notes from things. First order retrievability is blatantly stolen from Adam Savage. But all of these things, like localized loops, there is a whole explanation behind what localized... It's basically a saying. It's like a shorthand. When I say localized loops, it has a particular meaning. And so what I want to do is explain what that means. And so these rules are, you know, a thing about handling blades, floor is not a home, forced order retrievability, reduced friction, resource caching, consistent storage, solving problems permanently, single task focus, proximity equals frequency. This is a really important one. Clean as you go. So each one of those things is like a 90-second snippet, and I can film them all totally independently, which means that I can just, it's not a big task to undertake to say, yes, I'm going to film a video on a whole subject or a whole project. I can just think, I'm going to film one of those snippets, and then each one of those is a standalone thing, and then each one can be put up as a YouTube short or something, and they can all be stuck together as a single video that goes for like 20 minutes. So anyway, I'm going to have a go at that. See if that can get me past my roadblock of never, ever, ever, ever doing videos, which is really bad. I need to get past that roadblock. Stephen says airport to city loop to Ringwood, Uber to Bayswater. Yeah, that's about it basically. Or city loop to Bayswater station is close as well. So if you come out on the Belgrave line, but the trick is airport to city loop. We need a train to the airport, like a civilized city would have. Required it on a minimum monthly basis. Scott says, my first career required it on a minimum monthly basis. Is that parachuting? Did you have to parachute at least once a month on your previous career? Skybus. Yeah. All right. So, anyway, without actually knowing what I'm looking at, these data, this data looks okay to me. I don't think we're getting big issues with data. Where are we going to? Max 3.44 volts. Min, where's min? Where's min? Why can't I find min? VTOP, VBase, VRMS. Oh, it's right there. Minus 320 millivolts. That's, yeah, 160 is the resolution, I think. 160 millivolts. So this is basically like 2 bits. No, not 2 bits. Whatever. Not thinking properly. This is 2 times the minimum resolution of the scope at that voltage scale. What is it, a 10-bit scope or something? I don't remember. These old Rygols. In fact, I think most
Wagon
scopes...
Load said, that square wave looks janky.
Yeah, maybe. I don't think it looks too janky. I've seen jankier. Way, way jankier. But maybe it is. Maybe it is. because it's irregular, of course, because this is data. So we're seeing like a double width high there, and then a regular width high. There's a regular width low, a double width low. So the time base basically is, you see this shape here that I'm highlighting, it is 2/3 high, 1/3 low, and here it is 1/3 high, 2/3 low, and then 1/3, 2/3, and then 2/3, 1/3. So this is indicating zeros and ones. This is the data stream, the shape of the data stream. And it seems okay to me. Like,
Amanda Thompson said, "Squirrel, squirrel, I get so much CAD design work while watching this stream. The current project is my own 3D printable Fatch box rack cable management."
oh, I was actually just going to ask, when I heard the start of that comment about you get so much CAD work done during the stream, first thing I was going to ask is, what are you doing CAD work on? Airborne Regiment, says Scott. Okay, all that. Okay, to call yourself Airborne Regiment, I guess you do have to jump out of planes from time to time, even on the monthly. So, Wagon Loads asked, can the scope display direct waveforms without reading it from RAM? Isn't that what it's doing, I think? I don't know. Maybe? I just...
Wagon Load said,
Yeah.
"Can the scope display direct waveforms without reading it from RAM?"
Fatchbox. Okay, I've got to look up what a Fatchbox is now, because that sounds like a brand name. Management. Oh, Patchbox. Okay. No, it was just it should be a brand. My guess is that that was just Patchbox cable management, but yeah, I'm curious to see what you've designed, Amanda. So, but Fatchbox should be a brand for cable management. That would be a cool name. I have a nice Heathkit scope with no RAM at all, says Scott. Yeah, it is a digital scope, which means that there is processing in between. It's
Scott
not...
Miller said, "I have a nice Heathkit scope with no RAM at all."
Yeah, so a nice Heathkit scope would be taking the inputs, running it through amplifiers, and then using those for the XY deflection. Actually, no, it would be using it for the Y deflection, and the X deflection would be coming off an oscillator, which is doing the time base. And there is no microcontroller involved. It is the phosphor on the screen being moved in real
Jack's
time.
Tech said, "No, it's a digital scope. It has to go to some form of RAM."
Yeah, that's right. So, yes. If we're driving the scope analog, like an analog scope, then no processing needs to be involved. But in this case, it's a DSO, which means, yeah, we are seeing the computer's interpretation of what it is seeing on its inputs. And there isn't really a way around that. But then we wouldn't really be able to trigger and freeze and all of that sort of stuff either. iPhone cage for filming. Ooh, okay. There's another thing. Not a political message. Breaking news. What? What? Hang on.
Amanda Thompson said, "I have an iPhone cage for filming all almost finished, just waiting for some 1/4 20 heat inserts to arrive."
Hang on.
We'll send you a photo for next week.
Hang on. Aaron? Are you serious? Yes, I know. I try to avoid political stuff as well. But he's been shot? What? It's on NBC, on AP News. The shooter is dead. Former President Donald Trump was rushed off the stage just minutes into his rally after gunshots were heard. He's been injured, clutching his right ear and dropping. So, what? That is crazy. Wow. Tassie
Peter
Pop
Lawler
said,
said, Aaron is completely accurate.
oh,
Jack's Tech said, yep, news came through this morning at 9 a.m.
yeah, 17 minutes ago, the updates were happening 37 minutes ago. Whew. Okay. Oh, we could descend into a whole lot of political commentary here, but
Scott Miller said, no comment.
I want to avoid it. Yeah, Michael Wise said, America, the land of completely normal democracy. Yes. Oh, yeah. Oh, Aaron said, I have no alliance to either candidate or party, just thought the news was crazy and a reflection of current world issues. Yeah, it is. It's, yeah. It's amazing how different it is in different countries, and how, I don't know, there was some, I saw some story just not long ago. I think it might have been the president of Finland or somewhere like that, or Sweden, and the different lifestyles that politicians have in these different countries, and how they were just like down at the supermarket shopping for groceries on their own. They don't even have a security detail. Their life is just like a normal person's life. They get up, go to work, and go shopping for groceries, and go home to the kids and do all the normal stuff with zero protection detail or anything, and it's just life as normal. And they just happen to be like the Prime Minister of Sweden, or whatever the position happens to be. Yeah. But in other countries, it's not like that. Yeah. Ooh, Jack's Tech said they have security details, you just don't see them. Yeah, quite likely. Yes. The security detail. The ninjas that you do not see. They are there, nearby. You just don't see them. Yeah. But public, yeah, I think it was public transport as well. I can't remember which country it was, but it was like it was something like the Prime Minister of Sweden would go to work on a train every morning, like just on a regular train with all the other commuters. Yeah. Okay. Let's not get into that too much, and it's very easy to descend into, to start thinking about things like whether they should have, anyway, yeah, that is just nuts. That is quite the news. A reflection of the state of the world. Yeah, Jack's Tech said, as someone who has worked that world, they have a detail with them. Yeah. Yes, quite likely. You are right. You are right. I don't know anything about it. What am I doing? That's right. In front of me, I've got Fusion open, but it's just on a different monitor. One of the other things I was going to do today, if I was just talking about random stuff, was to finish making a footprint, because I've started making a footprint in Fusion for the PCI connector.
Scott Miller said, so, what are we going to do about John's LED problems?
Yeah, my LED problems. I have a feeling that it is environmental. This worries me. Storage and its period and humidity and all of that stuff. So, it says, we would recommend to do dehumidification if they exceed the valid storage period of products and damps due to other reasons. Dehumidification method. 22 hours in a dehumidifier. Okay, so I have my old reflow oven set up with Xeon's Reflow Master Pro, and I have profiles there are baking profiles in it. So it can do reflow, but it also has profiles for baking. Reflow Master Pro, for those of you who don't know, this is the
Peter Lawler said,
the thing.
John's LED problems can probably be fixed with a barbecue.
Yeah, they probably, yes, with a barbecue. If we keep the barbecue running for 22 hours, plus or minus 2 hours at 70 to 75 degrees, then yes, a barbecue could probably fix my LED problems. So, yeah, anyway, I have Xeon's Reflow Master Pro on my old reflow oven, which is the
Aaron Knox said,
the drawer
can
one.
you baked it at 70 degrees whilst they're on the reel?
Yes, yeah, I do it on the reel, and then the thing is, so what I have to do is take the LEDs off the reel. No, sorry, take the reel off the feeder, put it into the reflow oven, and bake it for a day, essentially, like 22 hours at 70 degrees, and then put it back on the machine and use it within 2 hours. That is the challenge. That is what this is telling me I have to do. Pressing the colloid surface will affect the reliability of LED. Okay, so this is interesting. I have been I've been loading these onto boards using Samsung nozzles, like they're the CP40 nozzles or whatever they are. But okay, I've been using metal nozzles in the pick and place machine. So there are several issues here. I don't think this is necessarily the problem, but it is something to consider. What I should do is load one of the nozzles in the machine with a tip with like a silicon suction thing on it rather than metal, because all the tips that I have loaded in the machine are just regular metal tips. They're not they don't have like a silicon tip on them. And what's happening is that the nozzle tip, let's see, CP40 P&P nozzle, I can't remember if it's CP40, Samsung, it is no, that one, it looks like that. I can never remember. Sometimes I use, Juki, that's right, it's Juki nozzles. Juki nozzle. Yeah, so these are the types of nozzles that I have in the pick and place machine. The ones I commonly use, the sizes are 502, 503, 504.
Aaron Knox said, please don't leave the lab with an oven running at 70 degrees for 22 hours. That's tempting the smoke gods in such a bad way.
That is true. That is a good point.
So, let me tell you a story. Ups here, charger failure. Higher up away from the sea, no issues. So 60% change humidity in play. Peter Lawler said, who would have thought the solution may have been to RTFM?
Yeah, true.
Wagonload said, if your LED is not working, can you connect an external LED to the control pin to see if PCB is working?
Higher up away from the sea, no issues. So 60%. Sorry, a few people said things, rapid fire away there. Okay, so Aaron, you are absolutely right. I should not be running that oven. That means they're expecting someone to be there present with the thing for 22 hours straight. Okay, I think what I might need to do is do it over a series of days. Like put it in the oven first thing in the morning, run the oven all day. So I might be here for say 12 hours, and at the end of the day take it out of the oven and put it into a sealed bag with desiccant. Then the next day take it out, run it in the oven for another 12 hours, and make sure that so do it in a couple of cycles. Hopefully that would have a similar sort of effect. Aaron said 22-hour live stream party and sleepover at John's. Yep. Oh, Jack's Tech said it needs to be a continuous soak. Okay, so I have to stay awake for 22 hours. Wagonload says use BitLooney's Wi-Fi smoke detector. Yeah. But yes, Aaron, you are absolutely right. That is a good point. Leaving the oven running at 70 degrees for 22 hours.
Time to hire a night shift.
Yeah, I am the night shift.
It needs to be a continuous soak.
Yeah. Schedule an LED job after a non-LED job.
Use BitLooney's Wi-Fi smoke detector.
On the production line. The thing is that just about every board that we assemble has LEDs in it. Mitchell said, this came through on TTS earlier, but I'll say it again here. Let me tell you a story. Up here, charger failure, higher up away from the sea, no issues, so 60% change humidity in play. Okay, so being near the sea with 60% humidity had a failure, and away from there didn't have a failure. Okay. Dodgy, good morning. Just by 4 minutes. Okay, so wagon loads. If your LED is not working, can you connect an external LED to the control pin to see if the PCB is working? Yeah, that's basically the same thing as replacing the LED on the board, isn't it? Which I've already done a few times, many times. Also possible power supply Aussie at client side. Okay, that was Mitchell's comment. I am just rushing through this because I'm going to get off the stream in just a moment. Any meal suggested take it home and put it in the kitchen overnight. Stephen W said vacuum sealed. Yep. David said imagine the amount of work you could get in 22 hours production. Yeah, Mr. Fixit also said be careful leaving the oven running unattended. Yeah, that's a put the LEDs in a vacuum, then the heat input is much less. I don't get it. UPS, 4 PSs. Can you test the reverse humidity? Immerse in water for a day before soldering to board. It should fail, Graham pointed out. Yeah, okay. So showing this is actually a really interesting point, which is that when you are trying to debug a problem, having a reproducible failure case that you can recreate the failure is critical. Certainly in the software environment. If you've got a piece of software, like a bug in the code, trying to create a situation where you can reliably reproduce the bug will get you a very long way to actually solving the problem. Because by doing that, you are characterizing the circumstances in which the bug occurs. So if you can always make the bug occur, then you can narrow it down. And that is a very good point about putting the deliberately exposing LEDs to moisture and seeing if the failure rate goes up. See if that is a way of inducing the same kinds of failures that we are currently seeing. Yeah, Graham, I like your thinking. That is very interesting. Stephen W said switch to 2811 with dumb LEDs. Oh, believe me, I have thought about that. I have very seriously considered that. Getting just 50-50 size RGB LED, 50-50 RGB LED, but the non-addressable type. Non-addressable, which is how they always used to be. Now you'd have trouble even finding it. Non-addressable RGB LED strip.
Said you need to make a RGB logic probe that you can use where LEDs are used.
Ooh, an RGB logic probe.
Aaron Knox said, John, do you put silica packs in the sealed component reel boxes to help with moisture?
Yes, I do. Yeah, there are silica packs in each of those big boxes, which is, yeah. So the humidity in them at the moment is somewhere in the low 40% region. It's, when I took the camera in there earlier and was looking at the little displays, they're reporting typically around 40 to 44% humidity inside the boxes. Mr. Fixit says if you want to dehumidify something, you can put it into the vacuum chamber to degas. Yeah, vacuum chamber. That would be a way to do it. Scott says, TTS, do your thing. It will in a moment. Lowers the boiling point, like drying an aircon system. Yeah, Don S has some interesting ideas there about decreasing the pressure, the air pressure, so that the moisture that is in the LEDs comes out. Okay, it is 12. I am going to go because it's barbecue day, and there are at least 4 people here now, and a dog. Astra counts as with a couple of people. So, all right, I am. Oh, Jack Sek said air pressure change will likely crack the LED lenses. Yeah. Okay, so to wrap up.
Scott Miller said, you can buy silica gel in bulk. Put a layer in the bottom of every box.
Don S says, fire up the sauce pot. Yes, that is what I'm going to do. Raphael asked, what am I cooking for the barbecue? I'm going to cook sausages and chicken skewers is what I've got. And other people might have brought their own things as well. We shall see. Mr. Fixon pointed out a vacuum chamber is only about US $150 including pump. Yeah, but and used to sterilize utensils. Interesting, wagon loads. So, okay, things I'm going to do. I am going to look at humidity issues and using my ReflowMaster Pro to dry out the reel. Or at the very least to dry out a few. What I can do is pull like 20 or 30 LEDs off the reel.
Wagon Load said, I have a dental vacuum chamber used to sterilize utensils.
And put them in, like just dehumidify a small number of them, doesn't have to be the whole reel. Hand place
Scott Miller
them.
said, barbecue causes humidity increase.
Yes.
Pipe.
And hand place them and see what the failure rate is. So what that would do is check when they've been dehumidified and also that they have not been pushed down into the board, because the nozzle, when it puts the LED on the board, it basically pushes it. In theory, ideally, the pick and place machine is compensating for the height of the part and it lowers the nozzle so that it just places it on the board and doesn't push hard against it. But the reality is that little variations, we're talking about, sub-tenths of a millimeter here, little variations in the height mean that it could be applying pressure to the top of the lens. And because it picks the LED up right in the middle, it is picking it up exactly on the lens, which is what this is saying not to do. Do not press the colloid surface because it's an advanced silicon gel. Avoid strong pressure on the component. Okay, so I need to get myself a silicon tipped pick and place nozzle as well. Maybe that will help. And of course, there is the old thing of when you're trying to figure out what's going on, don't change multiple things, change one parameter at a time and see what happens. So I need to try the dehumidification and I need to try hand placing parts. I don't think that's the thing though, because when they fail, we rework them by hand. The reworks are not done in the machine.
Bacon.
They're not done in the machine.
Said, through those LEDs on the Barbie.
They're done by putting them on with tweezers, and we don't touch the top of them. So
Scott Miller said, Barbecue bacon.
I don't think that is the issue. My feeling is, so this is a secondary thing. I think this is something I should look into, is using a tip on that nozzle which has silicon on it so that it's not metal on directly onto the LED. And primarily, I need to look at dehumidification and see if that fixes the problem. Plastic saturates, unlikely to find a problem. Tony, I'm trying to understand what Tony just said, which was increasing ambient humidity won't increase moisture content in plastic as the plastic saturates, unlikely to find the problem. Sorry Tony, I don't understand what it is that you're trying to say. Yeah, thickness of the solder paste. Wagon Load says, can you compensate the PNP according to the thickness of the solder paste? Well, in order to detach from the nozzle, the machine needs to put it down so that the part is touching the solder paste. Otherwise, it'll probably be retained on the nozzle as it rises. So the nozzle helps to make it stick to the board and stay there. So it needs to be pushed in. But the thickness of the solder paste is very small. It comes down to very accurate tuning of the machine. And it is accurate, but yeah, we are talking tenths of a millimeter in terms of the vertical
Peter
positioning.
Lawler said, barbecue bacon is very much the issue. Scott Miller said, TTS has been a serious distraction this week.
Oh,
Wagon
Mitchell
Load said, can you compensate the PNP according to the thickness of the solder paste?
Mitchell sent you a Discord of YouTube vid of some cool tech for deployment of products for dehumiding. Awesome, thank you. I got that Discord notification, Mitchell, so I will check it out. But for now, I am going to wrap up the stream and go and start getting stuff sorted out for the barbecue. I've got to reassemble SauceBot and get things out. Yes, barbecue, says Gerald. Alrighty.
Just going
And
back to say uru.
Uru, says Crispian. And after sitting here for 2 hours, I'm starting to get cold. So I'm going to put a jacket on as well. I was hot when I started because I'd been rushing around cleaning for several hours this morning. But I will, but I'm not anymore. So anyway, if you're coming to the barbecue, get going. Because like now, don't wait. Jump in the car, get down here. And I will see the rest of you next week. Okay, thanks. Bye.